Hello and welcome to Robin Minds. My name is Hero Daniels, and today I'll be guest hosting. I'm going to start off by asking you a very fundamental question, and I think this question is a question that has been on everybody's mind, and I really want to reach out to you. The question is, how are you? How are you really doing? Because times are tough. I can understand how you feel from having to buy fuel at a pump price of 500 naira per litre with rumors of an increase, even though the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has dispelled the rumor. But there was a rumor that, yes, it will increase to 700 naira, but they've dispelled that, to having to just take on the challenge of, a possible increase in the electricity tariff. The electricity tariff was supposed to go up by 40% as of the 1st of July, but of course, it has not been implemented. So a lot is going on. Times are really tough. It literally cost me about 52,000 naira to fill up my gas tank, as opposed to the 14,000 naira that I usually used to fill it up with. The minimum wage remains the same, 30,000 naira. How are small businesses surviving? Employees are asking for a raise. Employers cannot raise their salaries. Businesses are being forced to shut down because it's really tough. On the flip side, the government has promised that the resources being saved from this subsidy will be put into good use. But it's just a promise. It doesn't change the fact that people are going through a hard time. My neighbor, literally, he usually switches on his generator overnight from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. As I'm speaking to you now, for the past 2 weeks, he had not, in fact, I've not heard the sound of that generator. I asked him recently, and I was like, neighbor, what's happening? He said, the gen makes too much noise, that he likes the quietness of the night. You don't have money to buy fuel, that's the truth. And that's our current reality. So, with that being said, let's dive straight into the topic, which is the realities of being a business owner in Nigeria. Let's talk about how the micro, the small, and even the major businesses are trying to survive in these trying times. With me, I have a marketing professional. He's also the founder of Naija Butcher, Mr. Kunle Shokumbi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Okay, so I usually make this joke that if you see a Nigerian right now, please give them a big hug. And if you can, squeeze urgent 2K into their hands. I don't know about you.
$2K, 2K pounds.
2K naira.
That won't cut it.
I don't know about you, but my expenses has skyrocketed astronomically. First of all, before we move into business, as an individual, how are you surviving?
Man, that goes without saying. Everybody's affected, to be honest. What you normally buy for an amount, say 10 naira, for instance, goes up 2 times, 3 times of what the amount is. It's crazy, but you know what they say, necessity is the mother of ingenuity or creativity, whichever it is. So you just have to dig down and reach out, be more creative, be more innovative about the things you do. And it's a cliche, but they say cut your coat according to your size. So you don't have to put yourself under undue pressure, do what you can when you can and with what you have. I think that's what's been keeping me.
Okay. The way you make it sound so easy. It's so easy to say cut your coat according to your size. What if when you cut down, you're literally invisible? Take, for example, somebody that earns, I know of some people that earn 10,000 naira per month. And they have to go to work every day, and with the current transportation rates, they probably will spend more than the 10,000 naira.
Absolutely.
There are still people working at supermarkets that are earning 15,000 naira. There was something I saw on Twitter. It was a conversation about even the field attendants. The average field attendant in Nigeria, the people at the pump, they earn 15,000 naira. Even if you're a manager at the filling station, their rate is being pegged below 50,000 naira as a manager at a filling station per month. So how can people really cut their coats according to their size?
To be honest, everything is intertwined. So that is where the whole conversation about working together comes to play. Because I've got employees as well. So I made it look easy. I made it sound easy. But the truth is, you've got to have a plan. You've got to have a general motive or a general code by which you live by. I must say that at this point in time, it's everybody's in a survival mode. all right? So you have to do what you can to keep what you have, and then use what you have to get what you want. It's just that plain simple. So like I said, I do have employees. So one of the things I do, because I know that I can't do everything on my own. I need these people, but I also have to be empathetic about the way we relate with each other and how they also contribute value to my organization. So first of all, closing hours are flexible, all right? To help with transportation, you have rush hours in the morning and then in the evening. So we structure something where they can close at specific times to get to their destinations, their homes on time without having to pay the hike. So really it's about looking at the different routine, the different stages, the different activities that go on at any point in time and see how you can improvise. Really it's just about improvisation, to be honest.
Now let's get straight into the major challenge a lot of business owners are facing. Suffice to say that this economy is thriving solely based on entrepreneurship, majorly, to be honest. The government, I don't think, provides up to 20%. I might be wrong with the statistics, but I don't think they provide up to 20% of the jobs in this country. So now, as an employer of labor, I'm pretty sure that some of your employees have come up to you and you're like, boss, we need a raise, because of high cost of living, we need you to increase the salary. Officially, from the federal government, it's still 30,000 naira, though there have been conversations about raising it, but we've not seen any sustainable action, right, on their part. You are also trying to cut down your costs because now the cost of production has gone way up.
Absolutely.
So you're trying to cut down your costs, your employees need a raise. How are you dealing with that conflict?
It's a tricky one. Okay, so number one, I don't, depending on the kind of business you run, I don't think right now it's the best thing to do is to start cutting down on employees' remuneration. Personally, I can speak for myself. But what you can do is, like I said, you can begin to look at some flexibilities. So, for instance, nowadays we have working nomads, all right? In my organization, I already talked about, making working hours flexible. There are even days that they don't necessarily have to come to work because we've structured our operations in such a way that people can actually pick up. We're into food business, specifically goat business, goat meat. We do goat meat provision. So there are times when people can call order before the day or the time they need it. So that helps us to structure our operations as well. And then with that structure, we can cascade it down to the working hours, the operations of each employee in the organization. So that it's just about providing some cushioning effect. So I don't advise that you cut employees' salary because, to be honest, it affects every single person. But at the same time, you want to manage your cost. Somebody has to bear the cost one way or another. So it's about providing that equilibrium. In business, there are three things you look at. You look at time, you look at quality, you look at time, quality. What's the third one? If something is cheap and is quality, it cannot be fast. If something is fast and is cheap, more often than not, it may not be quality. So there is that struggle to have that equilibrium. The same thing applies to dealing with employees at this point in time, managing your costs, running your business effectively, and providing that equilibrium. So it's a run towards the center. It's like that spiral thing that just keeps going, going. And you just have to deal with it.
So using your analogy, whether we like it or not, obviously it's very evident that the prices have adjusted. A lot of prices have adjusted. Any person you give a certain amount of money to go to the market to buy foodstuff, would come back and tell you that it's not enough, right? Now, how, as a manufacturer, so to say, or
a producer,
right?
Yeah.
How do you deal with the adjustment of prices? Because you just said, if it's cheap, you have to go down on the quality. So for businesses that they sort of have to maintain a price tag, so are they supposed to now downgrade the quality? Because, they need to break even. So how are you dealing with the price change?
Okay. first of all, don't get me wrong. I don't advise anybody at this point in time to downgrade quality of whatever it is that you produce or you make. Because for every business, two key things, value and customer satisfaction. So that should drive, or those things should drive whatever you do in the organization. Because at the end of the day, it is the customer that keeps you in business. So if the customer isn't happy, you're not going to be in business. I mean, we've lasted this long in what we do. So having said that, there are times when you also have to roll up your sleeves. Now, that happens when it comes to my business. So oftentimes you find people who you have to get things done. You get an order. So rather than delegate, because you're managing time, you're managing quality and all, you might have to get more involved in the process as well. So you just don't sit back and, delegate and just relax. So it's a food business, for instance. So I've had to undergo training as well on how to make some of these things on my own, because again, businesses are run by people. Right. And people are, it's people, in quotes, is a variable. And that variable is one of the most uncertain variables you may have. So there are times when you have to do things yourself. Right. So that way you begin to cushion the effect on the business and yourself. Of course, it has a repercussion as well, because you have to wear so many caps at the same time. All right, so we've dwelt so much on how we're supposed to adjust, right? But obviously, evidently, we got here as a result of the decision of the government. On a personal note, obviously, because I've done my research, I understand that the removal of subsidy was the right thing to do. Because I've done my personal research. Trillions of naira being spent on a yearly basis that could have been pushed into something better, infrastructure and the rest of it. However, Nigerians are bearing the brunt, and I think the major issue here is that no palliatives were sort of put in place. What are your thoughts on that? That's a tricky one when it comes to government issues. I think the current government started off with some policies, which everybody agrees is on the right direction. But of course, what has happened over the course of the years, it would not just come, we can't resolve them overnight. I mean, I think that also goes without saying. However, it's also the responsibility of the government to provide the enabling. I think what is critical that the government can provide more at this point in time for small businesses, for any business, is the enabling environment, all right? I take my own business as an example. So the core of my business is goat. Now, to maintain quality, there is a particular kind of goat that we use. It's called the West African dwarf goat. The normal ones to find around, running around and stuff like that, to keep with the tradition of our business, because we want to keep it as traditional, as authentic, as original as possible, all right? So we don't deviate. Now, goat is the core of our business. So you find that the goat you get for maybe, for instance, 35, 40K before has suddenly gone up to maybe 45, 50K, all right? Now, the farmer or the breeder is going to buy feed to raise the goats. The feed is born out of agricultural produce. What the farmer is producing at maybe 10 naira before, the ingredients used to make the feed and all has gone up as well. The breeder is going to buy that, cost has been passed to him, feed the goats, and then pass the cost to even the person who's going to transport, because that's part of his the breeder's cost as well. So it's a chain reaction. All right, but if we have an enabling environment, it's going to help across the value chain, essentially. So the breeder would have to bring the goats from, let's say, Ibadan, for instance, to Lagos. Bringing the goats from Ibadan to Lagos means there has to be a trucker who's going to come on board to pick up the goats. Right. Now, he's already incurred costs in terms of the food, he's buying the feed for the goats and everything. The trucker who's coming to pick the goats is coming, is going to buy petrol. Right. Petrol cost has gone up, right? The roads are not so motorable. Wear and tear on a vehicle. So you have vehicle breakdown and all of that. Servicing costs and everything. So somebody is going to bear that cost as well. All right. But in a situation where, for instance, we fix maybe 2 or 3 sectors of the economy that can drive growth. For instance, I'm talking about transportation. I'm talking about concentration on agriculture. Let's say the last one is electricity, for instance. I mean, it could be any mix. I'm just saying that we don't necessarily have to do everything at once.
Right.
We can pick 2, 3 sectors of the economy that can drive growth for businesses or create that enabling environment for businesses to thrive, all right?
Yeah.
If electrification is working, if you have good electrification or electricity, we have good roads, which automatically reduces wear and tear. Time of transportation automatically comes down. So the guy who's meant to pick something from Ibadan to get to Lagos and spend maybe an average of 1 hour, or ends up spending 4 hours on the road, that automatically eats into time. So I'm waiting in Lagos for the trucker to bring my goods. I've got customers waiting, and I can't get the goods on time. So you understand what I'm trying to say
Okay,
now?
so I get it. You've obviously identified all the challenges, and you've said what the government can do. But what is the government doing? I'm asking you as a business owner, what is the government doing? Is there any sort of backing that we don't know about? We're trying to inform people here, right?
Okay.
And it's tough. You get. I understand that as much as possible, we need to be, we need to make sure that everything we put out here is very balanced, right?
Right.
Hence, I can see why you also try as much as possible to choose your words. We're on everybody's side, right?
I know.
But you cannot deny the fact that Nigerians are suffering. Now,
Nobody's
a lot of people have
that.
put
I'm
hope.
a Nigerian too, by the way.
Exactly. A lot of people have put a lot of hope on this current government because President Ahmed Bola Tinubu has a track record of sort of transforming economies. I mean, people constantly say, oh, this is what he did in Lagos State, right? And now that he's in charge, in the past few weeks, I think a lot of people have also applauded certain moves that he made. Like I said earlier, I am totally up for removal of fuel subsidy as fast as possible because it was literally the grandest scam ever. However, my issue is the palliatives were not put in place. That's the truth. So I'm now asking you, because I might be in the blind, as a business owner, is there anything the government is doing to aid you currently? So at least we can also blow their trumpets.
How do you want me to answer that question?
No, as honest as possible. Just be honest.
Okay, I will speak personally now.
Yeah.
So, as an individual, I have grown up to sort of learn not to rely so much on people. And by extension, that covers government as well.
Right.
It is no news, let's not kid ourselves, it is no news. In this country, you have to fend for yourself. Yes, we have governments and all, but the truth is you still have to fend for yourself. Because if you wait for government, I don't know what can happen.
Right.
Policies change, governments change.
Unfortunately, we're out of time.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes.
wow. Time to
But thank you so very much. I appreciate you.